Hi, Haley.
Are you Francesca who was live with Chris last night? Is that right?
Yeah. Yeah.
You all right?
Um. So I've been in my head about it for the last few days since it's happened, and like, to be honest, it's making me really, really upset. I haven't done anything wrong. I was lovely to him on the live, and I couldn't understand the messages that were being
Right.
sent. Now, I don't know if you know this, but when you're on a live, you can't actually, as the host, you can't message people. Like, you can't,
I don't even
like, if,
see mine on live. I don't
sorry.
see. I don't even see. I've got messages while I'm live.
Yeah,
'Cause
so that was what the thing is that's annoying me is about everything is that everyone keeps saying like, oh, it looks like you were responding to him in these messages. I was like, I was on the live for 7 hours. I was like, he came in twice, said 350 people shared the live to him the second time he came back in, which would have been impossible because you can see how many people have shared the live. Like, I'm not here to clear my name or whatever, but someone had messaged me today saying that you were speaking about it. I did actually try to message you about it a couple of days ago when it happened, because I was like, I had messaged Little Miss Vodka, and I was in, my head was gone. Like, I didn't know what was happening because I couldn't make sense of Chris that was on the live and Chris that was in the messages. Like, he was constantly, when he was on the live, I spoke about my cousin being murdered. I spoke about all of this stuff. And then after it, like, my heart just dropped. My heart dropped when I was reading the messages. I was like, oh my God. I was like, what am I after getting myself in for? But I never said anything. Like, my lives, I've always been respectful. People come into my lives and they give their opinion on the case, just like everyone else. But I delete bad comments and everything. And when I posted it on the group yesterday, it was removed twice. And then later on, I decided, okay, there's more than one person mentioned in these messages.
With this and wash it with this.
Okay, right. Don't worry about. I'll get the fly in a minute, darling. It's not going to hurt you. Okay. Sorry. So to be honest, like, I was in your live that night when Christopher was on.
Oh, you were? Okay.
Yeah. So I came in to watch. So I was quite confused by the man in the box who was absolutely fine and saying, if you need me in here again, you need me to come in to answer some questions. I'm quite happy to come in. And then I had yesterday evening off because I was really sick. And then I woke up to those messages this morning and I couldn't put the two together. So I was thinking, has his account been hacked? Thanks, Deb. Has something happened? Because I just couldn't put the two together. Because I said earlier when I talked about it, that I was in your live. It was a respectful live. I came in quickly because I saw Christopher was live. I've never seen you live before, if I'm honest. And I saw he was in there. And I caught the tail end of him being like, any other questions people want? If you want me to come live with you again, I'm quite happy to do it. When I saw those messages, I was like, what? Where has that come from?
So what he said to me while he was on the live, I've went through my own live footage because he asked me, was this being recorded? And I said, all the lives are recorded. They're in your live videos after. And I said, why? He said, I would like you to send it to me. And I said, okay, no problem. Like, I can send it to you after the live. Now, he had to have known that I was still live, because when he was sending all of these messages, the messages started from when he left the live, during when he came back on the second time, to after he left the live the second time. And what I couldn't understand was one of the messages, because I had kicked Johnny Vegas out of the box, the Jonathan Atanda, the guy who has been confirmed not to be the guy who went with Jake. Yeah. So what I had said was, there was one message where it said, Francesca, you're not helping. And I think this is where everyone thinks that I was replying to him. But I think he replied to me while he was in the live, saying that he must have thought that I could see the messages, because there was no way I could have saw that message, because when I went off the live, like, I was shaking. Like, even when I speak about it now, like, I'm just full of anxiety. And I came across a comment on TikTok. Like, my name is Francesca on this. It's the same on my Facebook, but my surname is on it. And now my surname is being put on TikTok. And the last thing I want is to be roped into all of this, because I am just a girl living in Ireland that likes to speak on the situation. I've been respectful. I've been everything. Like, I haven't, just the whole thing has just confused me, because I was like, how can you act one way on a live and then act a completely different way off the live?
Yeah, guys, can I just quickly explain what we're talking about, because I've got 2K people who have got no idea what we're talking about. So Christopher Tenerife, who was the guy who was running the TikTok account, who was showing everyone like where he was searching. He's putting up some really valuable like footage. He's also the guy that found the glasses out at Jay's last ping spot. So that's who we're talking about. The other night, Francesca had a live. Christopher was in the box, so I was sent the live to come and have a look at what Christopher was saying. So I watched it. He was really friendly, really kind of, oh, thank you for having me on the live. I just want to tell you about what's going on out here. I didn't hear much of what he said. It was the wrong Johnny in the box, yeah. So it's just a guy who's pretending to be him for clout. And then at some stage, while Francesca was still live, Christopher sent her a whole series of messages that were like maddening in kind of context. They kind of weren't making sense. They were kind of talking about Mark being some kind of lunatic in this case, who was just trying to sell his story, and how he needed to speak to Johnny because they needed to destroy Mark together. It was kind of all over the place. And he was demanding the audio of that live from Francesca before the civil guard could take that from his phone, because they have access to all of his social media and phones. It was almost like somebody who's having a breakdown mentally, but 2 seconds before he'd been on a live absolutely fine. So it's really hard to understand what could have happened in that short amount of time. I don't know whether Johnny Vegas coming into the box, the fake Johnny Vegas, the ones I've told you is not part of this work hard, play hard, or whatever he's called.
Yeah.
I don't know whether Chris saw him in your box and thought, fuck, the real Johnny Vegas is going to come for me.
Because when Johnny Vegas joined the box, Chris said he had no idea who this man was. And I thought about this after. I was like, maybe he was trying to get information on Johnny Vegas. I thought about that. But then in the messages, like I've been sitting here for hours replying to messages that I see that have mentioned my name, and I've tried to explain the situation, but people are only going to believe what they want to believe. And I rang a friend like a minute after I ended the live, because I was in shock. I was like, I don't know what's happening. And I even said to her, will I just ring the civil guard now and clear my name? Not that I'm involved, but I was like, if this turns out to be a bigger deal than what is. Like, he kept asking me my age on the live, and multiple people said that to me. Multiple people were like, oh my God, Francesca, like, you've got Christopher on your live. Like, this is great. And I don't know Christopher. I just know he was the man who found the glasses, and a friend had said that, like, he was the only one doing something. So when he joined the live and said he was going to answer any questions, I was like, this is so cool. Like, I was so lovely to him. I opened up about my cousin. I opened up about all of that stuff. I had explained my reason for speaking about Jay and why I was so interested in the case. And then just the change in personality. Then yesterday I had unblocked him and I said, hi, Chris, could we speak? Because I was like, okay, maybe he was drunk, or maybe whatever happened. I was like, I want to know why you want the live audio, so I'm not just sending it blindsided and then seeing it all over the For You page with like different information or whatever. So that's why, if he hadn't have sent any of those messages, I would have gladly just sent over the live when I had it. But because after he sent 7 messages of all that madness that he said, we didn't speak about the private investigator on the live. We didn't speak about anything along the lines of anything that he said in that message. And everyone was like, maybe he got hacked, maybe this. And I was like, he couldn't have been hacked because his face was on the live. He joined.
Yeah, he was on the live, yeah. I saw him. And it was only instantly afterwards, because when I looked at the times, it was just after I'd seen him. So it was almost like he came off to a message from someone, and then he's kind of acted like that, because and I would be quite, it may be that work hard, play hard guy who tried to threaten me and stuff, he tried to make me believe he was the real Johnny Vegas, and was like, my family want money now. No, I was like, yeah, go swivel. And he was just like, no, I'm Johnny Vegas, you talked about me, you share my picture. I was like, well, I haven't, and A, you're not getting any money. And then he was like, we'll go live.
Respond to one of the comments. Everyone's jumping on it now saying that she unblocked him. I had The morning that he sent me those messages, I messaged him saying, "Hi, Chris, is everything okay? I'm a bit confused." He never responded, so I blocked him because I couldn't sleep. And I said, if I woke up to another message off of this man, I would have went down. I would have had a panic attack because I was already panicking over it because I couldn't understand what was happening. So I blocked him, and then I unblocked him when I woke up, and then he didn't respond at all. So it was just the whole thing, because I was stuck between, okay, well, he was nice to me, maybe he's trying to get information on Johnny Vegas. I was like, I'm not understanding it. So I was mixed between whether I block him or I don't block him. Then yesterday he was blocked and I unblocked him again because I was like, do you know what, I'll just say it to him, whatever. And I did. I said, "Hi Chris, could we talk?" Because I wanted answers on all of those messages. He seen the message, he didn't reply. I said, okay. I was like, I'll send him the message. I literally said, I was like, Chris, I was like, I'm not sure what happened the other night, because you were saying all of this stuff, but I wasn't responding. I can't even remember what I said in the message because it didn't even end up sending. But then someone told me that you can actually restrict messages. So he must have restricted my my messages.
To be fair, like, I don't blame you for blocking him that night, because some of the messages he sent you were quite confusing, quite scary if you don't have the context of them either. And if you're a young girl and you're getting messages from someone talking about burying a detective and talking about, give me those recordings, I need these recordings, my phone's being hacked, the police are looking at my messages, I would have blocked him as well, because instantly I'd be like, wow, this is spinning way out of my control. So you cannot blame Francesca for blocking him, because it's quite clear that the messages were going off on a tangent that wasn't quite safe. And especially when you've just been talking to someone in a box previously and he's been making loads of sense and been really nice, and all of a sudden he's kind of sending you messages which are like crazy, you would be like, okay, I need to come away from that. So you can't blame her for, you didn't receive the messages, and they were being sent at like 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning.
Messages went,
so that would mean you would you would be like, oh my god, that's too much.
I have blocked them now. And then last night when I was live, someone had come in and said that he had deleted his account. I wouldn't know anything about it. But then the post that was on Facebook, I posted it to the official Facebook group because I was like, if there is information here, obviously we don't know what's going on in the background of any of this. So I was like, if this can get to the family members, like what I said was that I had a feeling that if he was going into people's lives multiple times and he was doing the same thing that he did to me, then it screams to me that this man should not be searching for Jay. Like, if he's going like this in my life, just someone who only had 100 viewers at the time, then how is he going on with other people? And I don't know why I keep needing to explain myself, because I haven't done anything wrong. But the way my anxiety is, it actually feels like I'm involved now. It feels like I've done something wrong. Like my brain has just not stopped. I've replied to messages. I had to delete the Facebook post because I was like, okay, well, now my name is out there and there's people mentioning my full name on TikTok. Not that it's an issue, but my TikTok is just full of cleaning. It's just full of cleaning content. There's nothing about my family. But when you go onto my Facebook, it's all like my niece, it's my family, and I don't want that getting involved because it's none of anyone's business. My brain is just, every time I speak about it, I start to shake, and I can't make sense of it.
The best thing you could do in this situation now is just do nothing. Just don't answer anyone's messages. Tomorrow it will be a whole different headline. I've been through it myself several times, and they go in on you constantly, and then it just stops. And
like, I knew.
But the more you answer back, the more they'll keep coming. You've explained yourself very well. You had to block him because it was getting nutty.
I wouldn't have been able to sleep if I didn't block him. I wouldn't have been able to.
I completely agree with you. If I got these messages, even from one of my mods, I would have instantly blocked them for a little bit, because I would have been spam the fuck out, and I'd be like, oh my god, this is getting worse and worse. He ends the message by saying, I can bury this motherfucking detective, help me do it. So to me, I would be like, I'm out. You do whatever you need to do. Right now, you're making physical threats against somebody. You used to be in the army. You're going, I've been up against many more people than this. I'm going to play my own game. Watch me go. All of this stuff. I would be like, I can't.
And that's what was confusing me so much, was we never spoke about any of that on the live. Like, everyone who was in that live can even say you were in that live. It was so respectful. I was deleting comments that were mentioning the family. I had kicked Johnny Vegas out of the box when he started asking Chris why he hasn't met with the family. I said no. I was like, this man doesn't owe us an explanation. He's come into the box. He's answered our question. He's answered questions on his behalf. I was like, he doesn't owe anyone anything. To be honest, I was more confused as to how Chris ended up in my box anyway, because I was like, this has never happened, and it just seemed to link up to Johnny Vegas, that if Johnny Vegas hadn't joined the box, then maybe Chris wouldn't have joined the box. But I spoke with Johnny, and as far as I'm concerned, I didn't know who he was until he joined. I had seen that he went on a mad one on someone's live before, but I don't speak about that stuff on my live. When I'm on my live, it's always been respectful. We don't even, like, most of the time it always leads off the Jay Slater case, and we end up talking about other stuff along with that. Like, I'm not highly invested in the case. I wasn't highly invested in Chris Tenerife or whatever. I had heard from him through a friend, and I just think the messages were unnecessary, and I get people are going to defend him to the ground, and people are going to say that I was replying to him, but I have proof I was on the live for 7 hours. I couldn't have replied to him unless it was on another app, and I didn't have him on anything else. So
yeah, there is a thing where he could have been hacked, guys. He absolutely could have been hacked, but since then he's removed his social media off all platforms. So I would think maybe he got a message of maybe some kind of threat that's kind of scared him and brought out some kind of PTSD from like what he's done before. At this moment in time, we don't know anything about Christopher. So spreading rumours that he's been arrested or that this happened. To me, this was a guy, it was really scary, these messages for Francesca, but it was also really worrying that something had happened to Chris mentally. So we just need to leave it alone, I think, for a little bit. And just see if he resurfaces. But there's no point putting any blame on Francesca. Like, honestly,
I went through the thing of maybe he was hacked, but I sat with it for about 2 hours, and I went through like everything that was said. There was stuff in the message he said that I don't know how hacking works, or if the person who hacked him was in the live and was just messaging all of that stuff. But in the message, he calls me Spud. And the last thing he said to me was like, don't worry, Spud, or something along the lines of this. And he had basically said that in the message. He was like, Spud, I'm sorry what happened to your cousin, but you can change the situation now, as if like we had talked about something on the live that was of interest. The only thing I can think of is this Johnny Vegas person, but Chris said he didn't know Johnny Vegas, so I'm not even understanding that side of things. Like, there's
no way that he didn't know who Johnny Vegas was in this case. No way. I don't think he obviously maybe thought that was the real Johnny Vegas. But definitely everyone in this case knows there's a Johnny Vegas. Mark's put that out right from the beginning. So even if you're watching the very bare minimum of not creators, but actually just reading the media and listening to Mark, then you would definitely know who that was.
Like, I've completely taken myself away from the situation now. I've sent Mark the messages. I text Mark on the Friday after I had received the messages, and I said, Mark, can I ask you something? He hasn't replied. I sent him the screenshots. Other people have sent him the screenshots. I'm willing to explain the situation. I'm willing to send the live to Mark if it's needed. I've cut down all the audios from when Chris was in my box, when Johnny Vegas was in the box. I've listened through it. Now I'm more investigated in my own life, in the case that it just happened so fast. Like, even someone said, like, you seem so shook that these people joined your live, and I was like, I am shook, because I'm not a big time TikToker. I'm just a girl who was interested in the case and spoke with a friend with 2 viewers in my life. Like, it's never been about clout. It's never been about anything like this. I've been through stuff. I'm interested in it. I like true crime. This is why I watch your videos. And I honestly think that allowing Chris into my life was probably the worst decision I've made since speaking about this, and I think that speaks volumes to me, because now the more that I go on my phone, like I just want to turn my phone off and never go on social media ever again, because I'm not the type of person to be able for any of this. And I genuinely thought Chris was a really nice guy, and he probably is. But I find it weird that if he was hacked, why wouldn't he tell people that he was hacked? Why wouldn't he tell me he was hacked? Why would he continue to post videos about the search if he was hacked? Like, it's just all these questions going on in my head that just keep coming. Like, I'm eating my dinner and there's more questions in my brain, and it's just... I had just seen that there was a few people mentioning it on your live, and there was people messaging me. I hadn't got a problem. I put it out there for people to see, and I'm glad people have seen it, because I think if it raises awareness to at least other people not to allow him into the box, that was all I wanted. I just wanted people to be aware of it. I wasn't saying he was involved. I wasn't saying anything like that. It was just purely because I felt threatened. I felt intimidated. I felt like he was involving me in something that I wasn't involved in. And I don't think what he did was okay. And if he had came forward and said, yeah, let's talk about it, this is why I said this and this is why I said that, then I would have been fine with it. But he never explained why he wanted the live in the first place. I wasn't even questioning it when he asked me to send him the live. I was like, okay, maybe he's going to post that he had a nice, genuine conversation with someone. Or maybe he was going to post that Johnny was innocent. But I couldn't understand why he needed to prove him and Johnny Vegas's innocence, and why the private investigator was brought into it as well.
I'm not sure where he was getting off on a tangent with that. Obviously paranoia in some regards, but thank you for coming up and explaining it. And I'm sure no one who's heard you say in this live is going to give you any shit from it. So I really hope if you need me, just send me a private message on Comic Crime on Instagram, and I'll help you defend it again. But thank you for coming up so much, and I'm really sorry that's happened.
I just wanted to come up and say it, because I feel like everyone has seen the screenshots now, and everyone's like, who's Francesca? What has she got to do with this? When I'm just a girl from Dublin, that's it. I talk about Jay. Do you know what? It's not even... I've spoken about the other people missing in Tenerife. My picture when I go live is the 10 other people missing in Tenerife along with Jay. And yeah, that's all I'm saying, because I just feel as if there was no need for it to go on. And I don't know. Now that Chris has been apparently arrested, that just scares me that maybe I was part of the reason why. I don't know, but...
You won't be the reason why he got arrested. I mean, obviously he was paranoid about something in the beginning, so obviously I would just not worry about it too much now. But obviously, if you need me for anything, do send a message. But thank you for coming up and explaining to us.
Thank you very much. And thank you for letting me explain.
No problem. Thank you. Bye.